than him up here, but it's a gloomy afternoon here, but wonderful weather for rugby. Ajit, this is what forwards live for.
Yes, it's cooled down nicely. The team card is on show here. Pereira, Stainwall and Mohammed. Pereira and Mohammed playing for the first 15. In fact, Hoffman, Hassan, Tilak Ratna, again Hassan, Hasale, Fonseca, Pereira. Look out for Pereira, 16-year-old youngster coming up. 12 Oma, 13 is Rodrigo, and two wingers, Rodrigo again and Pires Afam doing the needful at number 15.
You've seen these players a little bit more than I have, Ajit, so who are the guys you should look forward to there?
Well, Duru Capera from the Wesley side, and here we have the St. Peter's sheet here. Nelson, Jansen, De Silva. Again, let me tell you, there are 12 players who have played in the first 15. Anthony Dias, both seasoned players from the first 15 playing in this under-18 final. Nanakara Fernando, Guru Singha, and El Pereira and Vimala Dasa will be the combination. Watch out for JSD Pereira and Madhuwala. Mendis and Krishan will form the two, will take on the flanks or the two wingers. And that's the Wesley side. Shanaka, it's going to be quite a great final. Rain has ceased and the sun is quietly coming out, which looks like it's going to be a great evening here.
Yes, the guy who's going to have, I think, one of the toughest evenings on offer so far, D. Nimal, who is a referee for this evening. But yes, it was going to threaten to actually pour down. Here's the St. Peter's card. We showed you the positions earlier. Nice to look out for, of course, Dias and Anthony, that second row engine room combination. I remember both of them had immense games in the final of the knockout tournament. And here's a Wesley team. Couple of Omar is one to look out for as well, and the 16-year-old DR Pereira at number 10. It's a standoff. He'll be controlling it from there. Let's see what they can do with these wet conditions. It's really cleared up nicely, as you can see over the campus grounds. There's a nice bit of clear sky coming through. That's from the left of your screen if you're watching at home, as we see the St. Peter's College huddle just before they go into this match, which is the under-18 final organized by the Western Province Rugby Football Union. It's going to be a tough one, Ajit, because Wesley will clearly be the underdogs in this one, given the amount of quality that St. Peter's possess in their side.
Yes, as I said just now, Wesley, although they have 12 players in the first 15 side, they didn't perform too well in the division tournament, but watch out for the 8 guys who are playing for St. Peter's, and they played top draw rugby for the first 15. So Shanaka, this is going to be a tough call for Wesley to contain the Peterites this evening.
It is indeed going to be a tough call, and the one thing they're going to have to worry about, though, is both the forwards and backs, is the stepping ability as well as the scrumming, because this royal ground is a lovely ground, but sometimes the clay that it's been made out of really gets very slippery during these wet conditions like this. And I don't know, Ajit, I don't know whether you ever worn plastic studs during your playing career, but these boys are all wearing short plastic studs now, so it could prove to be a deciding factor.
Yes, I would have liked to have seen the coaches examining the ground if there are certain patches that's full of mud, and they could have perhaps advised where to run and where not to run.
Exactly, that's where groundwork, if I may use that phrase, literally and metaphorically, really comes into play. So it's really attention to detail at this point of time as we hear the traditional cry from the Wesleyites, Zuba, Zuba, Zuba Day, Zam Zam Zaki. That's their traditional cry. It's a Boer cry, is it, from a long time ago, apparently?
Okay. I understand the language perhaps,
I don't, but apparently it's from the Boers, from when they were fighting their wars. Yeah, South Africa,
yes,
yeah. It's I'm not sure, it's a Zulu or something like that, so it's something that came on from the Boer War. So that's the Wesleyites doing their little huddle in the middle. Referee Dini Mal patiently looks on as we bring you live action in this Suntel under-18 match, the final match between St. Peter's and Wesley in the blue. Referee Dini Mal already telling them to hurry up. We're live on Sports First as the drizzle starts to come down once again, but the skies don't look as angry and fearful as they did maybe about 15 minutes ago. So let's hope the weather holds clear for the 25 minutes of this first half, the 5-minute break, and the 25 minutes more that we've got for the second half live on Sports First.
Yes, that's Omar himself taking the kick, and this guy means his experience for Wesley. And and let's see how we get this game going.
Restart well taken there at the kickoff by the St. Peter's College. That was De Silva. Back to the fly half, who was outside his 22, collected by the winger. Good ball here for Wesley, then look to move it. Scrum off Hassan. It's a bomb put up there by the fly half, but well taken by the St. Peter's winger. Did he mark that ball, or was he in his 22 at it?
Just outside the 22. That's a great tackle by the Wesley winger. Really brought him down hard.
Good bit of play. Wesley seemed to have ironed their tactics out. They're coming in with a very definite game plan of attacking the fullback in these conditions, and that's something that has worked for centuries.
Yes, may be reduced to a mudlarkers game right at the end, 15-20 minutes ago, once these two sides really pound the ground, and if there's some rain to come, they'll have to change the tactics that they may have planned for the game, but again, let's see how it goes.
Good line out take. See whether St. Peter's bring this down, because they are playing the new experimental law variations, but instead they've chosen a counter drive and doing very well there. Ball goes to ground, but the ball is alive for Wesley. Wesley having all the ball in this first half so far. Wesley presented there. Strum off directing traffic and choosing to keep it to the forwards, probably the wiser thing to do at this stage of the game. Now he sends it out wide. That's Hassan directing it from the back there. Hassan again spins it out. Little decoy runner, but this was a nice little skip by the fly half. That's Pereira it is. He fell on the offside. He was lucky to get that back. This is the big dropped number 3, Hassan. Good ball movement, good continuity from Wesley. Very good skills in this.
That's a good play. Good rugby.
That's right, it's a great call by referee Nibal, who was right there on the spot. Number 19 for St. Peter's, falling all over the ball and killing it there. And it seemed like he really had no option, because Wesley were definitely going to score if they got a couple more phases together. But they're going for the points now, and this might be a wise move, because it's always good to translate your pressure into points. So an excellent passage of play in very difficult circumstances, I think.
Yes, we see that very definite pattern in the way they played that first few minutes, and I think it's conducive to the ground conditions. Playing 10-man rugby, bringing the ball in, and very intelligent, clever and controlled play by Wesley, rewarded with a penalty which they would really like to convert to points, and that they do right now. 3 points.
Let me go with the 3 points. So first blood drawn by Wesley against St. Peter's. They are the underdogs, but Pereira puts this side into the lead, but it might be short-lived, because St. Peter's have had it. Coming back very strong. We remember the knockout schools final, the under-20 section, where Isipatana scored first and St. Peter's came roaring back. So Wesley will be very ill-advised to sit on this lead. They'll want to go back and do more of the same.
Yes, where St. Peter's might have a few problems is with their combinations, because quite a few of these guys have been playing in the first 15 and they have to regroup and get their game together, whereas the Wesley season was over fairly early, and therefore they are able to practice with this side a bit more. So you see a very good pattern of play. They seem to be very cohesive the way they have started, but as Shanaka said here, St. Peter's always have true grit. They come back fighting, and we saw that in the Isipatana St. Peter's final just a few months ago here at the Royal Park.
It really is I can't think of a team game which relies more on everybody 1 through 15, I think, really, because that's why you really have to practice together as part of a rugby team, because if the drops get pushed, you don't get the ball back, you hook, strike, scrum off, doesn't link it. So everybody needs to come together, and you're right when you say that practicing together is so important. So maybe Wesley are going to reap the fruits of that togetherness.
Very organized, packing their...
First scrum of the game. Choosing to work the short side, or it can be called the short side.
Great tactics by Wesley here. They seem to know what they want to do. Clear vision, and Dulaj Pareja, we see that that kick was really with a great angle to it. Just kicked through the fullback and the winger. This is a clever play, Shanaka, by the fly-off.
Very much so. It seems to be reading the game excellently, and the game plan is being executed to the T. So it's one thing to get the ball from your scrum half and knowing what to do with it, and it's something else to actually implement that game plan. As we see, St. Peter's clearly dominant in that line-out with Anthony and Dias, but St. Peter's not doing too well. Wesley disrupting that one a little bit, not the sort of ball that they would like to get. So you see the fullback hitting the line, hitting the line quickly, but this is what they're going to have to watch out for. Those little steps which are going to end up with them falling flat on their face. Good ball out, finding space. Nimal spotting an infringement once again. St. Peter's diving over the ball, he says. So Peters will really have to keep their discipline as the captain calls once again for a penalty, and Pereira will step up. Here we see it from a reverse angle. Nice little step, finding space for the winger on the outside. He cuts back nicely inside.
The way the game is going here, it's very important that they play in the zones, because it's a wet underfoot. Ground conditions are not too healthy for long distance, long running. 40-50 meters will be a huge run for either side. So I think playing in the zone or in the territory is so important, and Wesley has been containing St. Peter's and being rewarded with these kicks that are coming their way, with the penalties, in fact.
See what Pereira can do with this. Hush over the ground. And yes, it's good. That was a lovely kick from Raj Pereira. On the right side for him as a right-footed kicker. It's the correct side that he would like to be kicking from. But for a 16-year-old, a very confident, very technically correct strike. And he's got 6 points, as does his school, Wesley, in the 8th minute of this game.
Yes, we see some familiar faces there, but this Dulaj Pareja is just 16 years. Shanaka is captain under 16 also. So this is a great prospect for Wesley for the future.
Absolutely, a nice strike there. The ball really going over the way it should go over. End over end is how they want it to look in the air. But a little knock on from Wesley from the restart. But referee Dinimal playing advantage. This is the prop taking it forward. That's takes a couple to bring it down. And now Peters have their first taste of the ball. That's the slippery conditions once again. Now the 19 who gave away the penalty a little while ago. Nice little step there by the front half. Vimaladasa. Moody pass out. Das, but he takes a couple with him. Playing advantage is referee Nimal. Not sure what the infringement there was. Referee Nimal calls it back for the knock-on. He says there was a knock-on first by St. Peter's, then by Wesley, and then we're coming back to
Dias and Anthony are two powerhouses for St. Peter's, and for them to get into the act with the two forwards, Steve and Saleh, they need to get into the correct zone, and still not found that zone yet. St. Peter's and Wesley quietly but surely realizing this, the importance of this, and trying to get away from that situation, as we see here.
Good work there by Wesley once again, following up that kick. The chase has become so important in modern rugby, and there was good work from the receiver there. Good ball once again for Hassan, but his number 8 gets in the way. Number 34, that's Omar. Not a very good kick.
Number 7, you're offside, all offside. What are your penalty there? Come down there, Peters. Come down there, penalty there.
Referee Didi Mal offering the St. Peter's captain the option of the scrum from where the ball was kicked, or the penalty from where the ball was collected, because everybody was in front of the kicker.
You see some big forwards with the Wesley side. Wesley have been producing some big guys. John in Candy, still eligible to play under 19 or under 20.
He could have actually been playing this game, I think.
120 K. So these guys have been producing some big guys. And that's Dias playing number 8, breaking away. St. Peter's going across a bit too much, but nicely set up. And referee continue the game with our advantage.
Advantage for Wesley, but they lose the ball, and St. Peter's come away with it. They'll be happy with that little passage of play. So ball is something you don't see much in open play nowadays. In these conditions we will show against a few more of those. St. Peter's with the ball once again. They're also trying to keep it close. Switching direction onto the blind side, the fly half, and putting the little chip over into the box and bouncing the ball out into touch. They'll have a line out here which they like to attack with their two big boys, Dias and Anthony, and they try to steal this ball and see what they can do with it. But Wesley have been competent in the line out so far. As we welcome our viewers back from Live at 55 back to Sports First. In your absence, Pereira has put over another penalty for Wesley, and they go into a 6-0 lead. That was in about the 8th minute, and so good to have you all back here live from the Royal College Sports Complex for this final of the under-18 matchup between St. Peter's and Wesley. Knock on there by the jumper in the line out. Wesley will have the scrum, but I'm sure the referee, if this goes into touch, will give the kick. Yes, that's what he does. Well, he says no advantage, but I beg to differ. I think there would have been advantage to actually have the ball out there about 5 meters ahead from where they were actually scrumming down right now. Advantage is a strange rule, isn't it? It's one of the most discretionary elements in the game of rugby.
Yes, you can kill a side when you know that you got a penalty going for you, and then you take the extra time just over the threshold, and you miss out on taking the penalty. I'm sure that will really be heartbreaking. And again, the referee's decision is so important. When does he cut it off? The advantage factor.
Big charge down there by the St. Peter's flanker. Wesley trying to get it away. It's hard-stopping passage of play there for the St. Peter's and Wesley supporters. But finally the ball finding its way to touch after it was booted away by Rodrigo, who in desperation wanted to get it away from his line.
Going back to...
That's the charge down. Nice little charge down there. Good height from the flank, I believe it was. But just going back to what we were saying about advantage, Wesley could have been playing a line out on the other side of the field.
Yes, that's right. That ball is not very much in favor of the Wesley side. But let's see how it goes from here. Wesley, as I said earlier, seem to be having a lot of big forwards, Shanaka. Right through, I remember Bateju and some other guys who came to the system. Yes. There's some really big guys.
Terence Henry's another one. St. Peter's on the move here. They're taking the shortcut from the penalty and trying to rush at the opposition. And these big forwards they won't get tired as fast as they would have at a normal day, because it's very cool here in the conditions at Royal College Sports Complex. But let's see if the cover defense is going to hold up. St. Peter's are looking to run it a little more than their opposite numbers. Dias taking it back in, spinning the tackle. They've got numbers now on the outside. Knock on, says the referee, but knock on by the Wesleyites. So the ball goes to St. Peter's. They'll be happy with that because it gives them a nice attacking scrum on the open side. They've got a lot of room. Maybe look for a number 8 move here. Taking the fly half and see what he can set up for the short side.
So things are hotting up here at Royal Park. A great battle on, very intensive. A lot of passion into the game. Both sides going at each other, and with this slight lead that Wesley have, which they're holding on to 6-0, they seem to have the confidence to keep the game going forward, and that they're doing right now.
That's a wonderful little bit of defense from the Wesley scrum half. That's Hassan. Not Hassan, actually, it was a winger that came away with that. That was Niles. And good defense on first up on the number 8 by Hassan. And he passed it on. He palmed it off to the scrum half, who came round and got absolutely collared in that tackle from the third row. So good defense by Wesley there, and probably not the right option from Dias playing in the number 8 position. But we were talking earlier about advantage, and the law book says it's got to be territorial or tactical. So once the referee deems that you've got territorial or tactical advantage, it's over. So even if you've got a penalty and you've got a 2-on-1 situation and you knock it on, one player knocks it on while attacking, then the advantage is over. So it's quite a harsh law.
Okay, Shankar, you're a referee, so you take the letter. But we guys, the layman guys, we just play on and hope for the best.
You didn't manage too badly being a layman, Ajit.
Get back! Come on, get back!
Wesley playing with a lot of confidence here. You can see that the early points have helped them a lot, and they're more or less with their tails up, and their skill levels are really showing showing a high level of skills here. You can see how they are more going into the but surely the Wesley boys are having a great advantage with the forwards. They seem to be more cohesive, playing together, and again a lot of pressure and scoring opportunity for Wesley here as the pressure mounts in St. Peter's. It's on the 22, ball coming out Wesley way, but a little infringement. Good passages of play, Shanaka.
Very good passages of play. I've seen some good skills from both sides actually, and Wesley, with all the running at the moment, they're putting in some very good kicks, and this is as we see the chase up from that kick by Pereira. The chase, like I said before, has become so important, and there's so much pressure on the receiver that he doesn't really have too much of an option but to take the tackle, and that created all the pressure for St. Peter's.
My call. Come on, get him.
It's become a beautiful evening here at the Royal Park as Wesley leads St. Peter's 6-0 in this Suntel Cup final under 18, and this is Dias with a break, but still you cannot cover much ground because of the underfoot condition.
A little bit of a ruckus going on off the ball. This is something you don't really want to see in schools rugby. I really hope the benches don't get involved. Coach coming in and taking charge of the situation.
That's a Wesley coach Mohammed who is angry with his boys because you can lose focus here. They have been very well focused up to now, and you start this type of infantile behavior, you can lose focus.
Let's see whether you can see what happened here. It's a bit of a high tackle on Dias, you must admit that. But the St. Peter's boy coming through, and well, there was a couple of punches thrown there. There was no question about it. We all saw it clear as day. And both sets of players going in to support their defenders. There's another punch coming through, and I think there was at least one yellow card that should have been shown there if the referee saw exactly what happened.
Yes, the captain's being called here, and linesman's opinion in here is of paramount importance.
No fighting, cool down. Okay, you take the thing. I get first, last man, is number 2 and fighting. I get penalty outside. Okay, no fighting to the boys.
Okay.
Well, let's see what happened here exactly. Punch, number 12. Going in with a punch, and that was completely unnecessary. And I think referee Dinimal has done the wise thing. He said, look boys, no fighting, it's just a bit of handbags, and let's keep your cool, and a couple of yellow cards would really have turned the game one way or the other unjustly, so to speak. And I think referees taken good charge of it, but unnecessary retaliation from the Wesley boys, and especially after they drew the first punch.
Yes, you can lose focus because they have been in control, and a little incident like this can really take the game away from you. You lose focus, you lose what your intentions are, and you start going for the man, and then things can turn around. and people who come out well in this will be St. Peter's because they are behind right now.
Good line-out ball from Dias once again, but knocked forward in contact, and this is what Wesley have been doing well. Their ball retention in arduous conditions has been very good. St. Peter's probably have taken a little bit too easy, knowing that they're the knockout champions and that they're playing a side that hasn't done too well and were in the B division this year. They probably need to take stock and at half-time and see what they need to do to come back into this game. They're still just one score away though, so they won't be too perturbed.
Both flankers, no number 8, no number 8. Okay, throw!
Okay, I think there have been a yellow card because he said there's no number.
Oh yes, there has been a yellow card, so we missed that one. But in schools rugby have equal numbers in the scrum. Pereira does well to recover from that ball that went through his legs. Fielding mistake there by him, but
Landing,
you can't be a bit too harsh on these players because it really is tough to carry the ball and catch the ball in these conditions. It's going straight through the legs, so no knock on. Recovered well. This is a penalty coming up. He was taken in the air, there was no question about that. So Wesley really will have to watch their discipline. They are up ahead 6 points to nil, which is a decent lead in these conditions of the game. So they really will have to avoid silly mistakes like that. They were playing so well to start off with, and they mustn't let the blood rush to their head.
Dean Niemal, the referee, is having his hands full this evening.
He likes it that way. I think it's always nice to be a busy referee.
I think he's enjoying it. You can see the new line-out rule, which means you don't have to match up with the numbers. One side can have 8 and the other can have 4. And that's one of the new line-out rules imposed in this game. Now there is that going to be 5 yards from the scrum, either way, the defense, the 3-quarter line. Well, good intense rugby here at Royal Park. Both sides playing with a lot of passion and physical aggression, and this is good rugby here because this is what rugby is all about. The fitness, the strength, the energy, all being seen here. Great stuff for under 18 final, Shanaka.
Absolutely, that's a little bit of a stray boot there from the St. Peter's boy on the ground as well. But like we said, the Wesley boys really showing their intensity and aggression, and the weight advantage that they have really coming to the fore. St. Peter's setting up a line-out, and you normally expect the side with the line-out ball to go forward, but well counter-driven there by Wesley. Pereira striking that on the outside of his boot. He hasn't made any ground at all, and ball just goes out directly into touch, right in line from where he kicked it. So not a great kick from him, but once again a 16-year-old playing in the under-18s. It must be a lot of pressure. So he'll be looking to mend those things as he moves up into the first 15 ranks. But you're right, a great game that we've had so far, and there's nothing in it. It's just 6-0, which is just one score away. 1.5 minutes to go in this half, plus a little bit of injury time. Wesley, I think, playing with a man down. They don't have a number 8. Ploy at the front of the line out to number 2 and back to the hooker. Going the short side once again, number 7 staying on his feet.
Line out.
Fernando.
And he's been on the bench in the first 15 side, Fernando, and a lot of experience therefore, but not really making anything out of that, unable to retain the ball and letting it go out. But look at the size of these guys here. This is the hooker throwing in, and for under 18 rugby, I'm sure this is for Sri Lanka rugby, it is good to have big guys coming up like this because we need them very badly. The weight factor is so important, especially in the front 5.
These Wesley forwards, one thing they do is look well drilled at it. Even that line out, it is very well rehearsed, very well organized, and they managed to implement it to the T. So they ran a bit of a decoy across, and the fly half pumping it into touch. So good organized play from this Wesley side, good ball retention, and that's what sees them with this 6-point gap as we go into the last minute without injury time, of course. And that's the thing that has been happening for St. Peter's. You'd expect them to dominate in the line-out, but that's about the second or third knock-on from the line-out. They've lost their own ball far too often for their own good, and Wesley are capitalizing on those mistakes. Here we see another one of those rough and tumble malls that forwards love so much. The ball really slowly making its way out towards the wing. But the cover defense for St. Peter's has come across. That's good work there by the winger who came through on his man. But very, very slow distribution from Pereira there with the ball.
Muddiest part of the field there, and perhaps the kick would have been the better option. I think it's very good to find out where you can run and where you cannot, because right there is where all the mud is.
Exactly. As we see the two players coming back, number 6 for the Peterites, and we had another player coming back on after their yellow card sin bin suspensions. Good ball once again from the line out. Too much of a standing static move, well read by the Wesley defender, who just thumped his player and drove him backwards. You love to see that as a forward pack. You want to go there and drive over the ball when it's going backwards. Marked there by the fly half.
Like the tenacity shown by the Wesley centers in the tackle, coming up fast, driving the Peterite attackers back, and again they have the confidence to run from this position. This is good play by Wesley, but again another pass going awry, but the intentions were good, but really nothing much out of that.
Lucky to get away with holding the ball on the floor there. Nicely done. He tried to protect his head and hold the ball with his elbows. That's how you do it if you don't want the referee to
Get back!
St. Peter's need to score just before the first half, and they're trying desperately to get some points on the board, but kick that's not really meaning much.
Line offside, says referee Dinimal.
Here's a chance for St. Peter's just to get a score on the board before half time. That will do them well and get them a bit of confidence. And we see the replay here, and maybe there was an infringement on the tackle there.
Actually, I think it was at ruck time, because we had, I think, the scrum half coming up offside. If you could see that again, we could show it to our viewers. But this is a good tactic from St. Peter's. They know they're only 6-0 behind, despite the fact that Wesley have been making all the play in this first half. So if they go in 6-3, I think St. Peter's will be happy with that deficit.
We check whether the play is 35 minutes or 30 minutes. We know the first 15 games are all 35 minutes now, and we're wondering whether this is a 35-minute game.
I was told it was 25, was it?
Okay, so we are on to extra time.
We're in injury time at the moment. Not a great strike by the Peterite kicker. That was JSD Pereira, and that's a half-time whistle blown by referee Dinimal. So Wesley will be happy with that lead that they take into half-time. They probably would have wanted a little bit more points on the board, but losing focus a little bit in the latter half of that first half, but making all the play, all the ball retention has been with them. St. Peter's, things not really going right for them. That's the score at the moment. Wesley 6 points to St. Peter's 0 in the Suntel Schools Rugby Final, live on Sports First from the Royal College Sports Complex. So we'll be back with you after the break.